Let's talk about the future of WWE, Bron Breakker. Few superstars have made an instant impact like this guy, who can run the ropes at 23 miles an hour and spear the soul out of you. The guy has wrestling in his DNA. He's the son of Rick Steiner and the nephew of Big Poppa Pump, two absolute beasts in their prime who paved the way for him to dominate. Before he was spearing people into the Shadow Realm, Bron made it to the NFL with the Baltimore Ravens, but lucky for us, he decided to get into the family business and bring that same intensity to the ring. Today we're diving into how and why Bron Breakker has all the potential to become the next big thing in WWE. In February 2021, Bron signed with WWE and was sent to the Performance Center to learn the ropes. He first appeared at WrestleMania Backlash playing a zombie in a lumberjack match between Damian Priest and The Miz. A few months later, he was a security guard on NXT and got attacked by Samoa Joe. Not exactly the best start, but everyone has a rough patch in the beginning. After being signed for a few months, his opportunity came when WWE relaunched NXT as 2.0. The rebranding was their attempt to move away from the old school indie roster of the black and gold era and spotlight fresh homegrown talents. Breakker was the perfect fit for this new vision. From the get-go, it was clear that WWE had big plans for him and they weren't wasting any time. His in-ring debut came on the first episode of NXT 2.0, where he faced off against LA Knight. Despite jumping around like a crack addict backstage, he destroyed Knight, setting the tone for what was to come, beating someone with mileage under his belt and putting the locker room on notice. Just a month later, he challenged Tommaso Ciampa for the NXT Championship at Halloween Havoc. Despite losing, it didn't hurt him in any way, because usually a rookie has no place in a match like that, but he didn't disappoint, taking Ciampa to the limit. But ultimately, after eating the concrete with a DDT, he was busted open and the rest was history. Bron was right in the center of WWE's shift towards new talent, teaming up with Carmelo Hayes, Grayson Waller and Tony D'Angelo as Team 2.0 took on Team Black and Gold at War Games. It was Breakker who pinned Tommaso Ciampa to win the match, and that set the tone for what was to come in NXT. After pinning Ciampa at War Games, Bron got his rematch and made it count, winning by submission to become the NXT champion just 4 months after his debut. After winning the big one, he made his Raw debut, teaming with Ciampa to take down Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode. But back in NXT, Ziggler managed to end his first title reign after 63 days in a triple threat match. This set him up for a feud with Ziggler that saw him bounce back on Raw, taking back the NXT title. This feud showed how far he'd come in such a short space of time, standing toe to toe with one of WWE's workhorses and taking back the NXT title on the company's flagship show. After this, Bron took out Cameron Grimes and the living, breathing bobblehead JD McDonough, then unified the NXT and United Kingdom championships by beating Tyler Bate. It didn't seem like anybody could stop him until Carmelo Hayes came around and ended his second title reign at 362 days, falling short of a whole calendar year as champion and leaving behind an impressive body of work. After losing the title, he turned heel for the first time in his career, attacking Hayes and verbally insulting the audience. Despite the gimmick change, he couldn't take back the NXT title, so he moved on to the World Heavyweight Championship with a match against Seth Rollins. From the start, it was an intense match. Rollins went for an early pedigree, but Bron countered. He was in control, showing off a Frankensteiner and a suplex combo that had Rollins in trouble. This gave him a chance to work the heel gimmick and target Rollins' injured ribs. After taking a serious ass kicking, Rollins made a comeback, diving out of the ring to take him out. Rollins eventually missed a frog splash and Bron capitalized, applying the Steiner recliner with Rollins reaching the ropes to force a rope break. Bron eventually hit a super Frankensteiner and his finish, with Rollins kicking out at the last second. Bron had no option but to go for a spear, but Rollins blocked it with a knee strike, followed by a pedigree for a near fall. Finally, Rollins hit Bron with not one, but 2 stomps to secure the win. He literally tested WWE's best worker and met him head on. Despite losing, he came out looking strong. It took 2 stomps stomps to knock his lights out. I can only remember one other superstar who had to take multiple stomps for Rollins to beat them, and that's none other than Brock Lesnar. This only added to his star power. After this match, he took center stage and separated himself among a small group of top tier talent on the NXT roster. Shortly after, WWE ran an NXT show with all the big names set to appear, including John Cena, LA Knight and Cody Rhodes. Cena made his appearance, praising the energy of the NXT crowd and shouting out Carmelo Hayes. He said he couldn't say no when Hayes asked for his support because he saw a lot of himself in Hayes. Bron interrupted Cena, claiming the fans came to see him. Things got out of hand and Bron blindsided Cena with a right hand, almost landing a spear before Cena escaped. This set the tone for the night, with Bron showing his attitude while Cena pointed out that his attitude was what held him back. When the match between Hayes and Breakker finally started, it was clear WWE saw the parallels to Brock Lesnar, bringing in Paul Heyman to be in his corner. Heyman added credibility to Bron's character. He even mentioned getting authorization from the tribal chief to take the gig. As soon as the bell rang, the two locked up, with Hayes going for a crossbody off the top rope, but Bron caught him in midair and landed a power slam. Hayes responded by leveling him with a springboard clothesline. They ended up on the apron where the two exchanged blows, and Bron sent Hayes into the turnbuckle and landed a back body drop. He even mocked Cena with a "you can't see me." They went all out. Breakker sent Hayes crashing to the mat, setting him up for a spear, but his momentum was stopped when Hayes sent him crashing into the ring post. This allowed Hayes to climb to the top rope, but Breakker planted him on the mat. He grabbed a steel step, but Cena interfered, leading to Solo ambushing Cena and removing him from the match. Taking advantage of the chaos, Hayes landed a code breaker on the outside and landed a nothing but net for the win. The drama didn't end there. After the match, Breakker speared Hayes and declared himself the only badass in WWE. That's where the gong sounded, and the American badass, The Undertaker, made his appearance confronting Breakker. Undertaker told him he's been watching and sees the potential, but today wasn't his day. A chokeslam later and The Undertaker left Breakker with a lesson. There's always going to be a bigger, badder guy around the corner. Celebrating with Hayes, Undertaker's endorsement was another signal that WWE sees big things in his future. After leaving a mark on NXT, he made his main roster debut at the Royal Rumble, entering at number 20 and immediately making an impression, eliminating Jimmy Uso, Finn Balor, Ivar, and even Big Omos. His impressive performance had everyone talking. I don't think anyone stood out more than him that night. He deserved a main roster call-up, and the 2024 WWE Draft saw him go to Monday Night Raw, where he made his presence felt. Over the last few weeks, he's been feuding with Adam Pearce after not being included in the King of the Ring tournament, and Pearce has had a hard time controlling him because he's been kicking asses like it's going out of fashion. He sent Cale Dixon to the hospital after beating the soul out of him and has his sights on Ricochet and Ilya Dragunov. It just seems like he's going to steamroll his way past them and push up the card, but despite being on the mid card, he's being booked like he doesn't belong there, so I don't think he'll be in feuds like this much in the future. Comparing Bron Breakker to Brock Lesnar, the original next big thing, is an obvious choice. Both superstars have similar physicality and intensity that makes them stand out. They have an athletic background including a history of professional football. Bron's a lot shorter, but he has an aura that makes him stand out. Lesnar's early career in WWE was insane. He got to the top instantly. It's similar to Breakker's rise in NXT. Both superstars were unstoppable from the start, with WWE clearly seeing them as future main event players. Lesnar's initial run saw him capture the WWE Championship in record time, and Breakker's NXT Championship win 4 months after his debut was much smaller, but for the modern era of WWE, it's exactly where he needed to be. For Breakker, having Paul Heyman in his corner during the Carmelo Hayes match cements the parallels with Brock Lesnar, and it seems like he's got everything going for him to be a massive star in WWE. From his impressive debut in NXT to his dominance on the main roster, his feuds and matches have showed his versatility and ability to handle different wrestling styles, highlighting his potential. The comparisons with Lesnar aren't just about physicality, they reflect Breakker's trajectory and WWE's faith in him as a main event player. As Breakker continues to evolve and adapt, the future looks bright. Potential feuds with top stars, title opportunities, and continued development of his character all point to a superstar who's here to stay. Bron Breakker isn't just the next big thing, he's the future of WWE, and I can't wait to see his career unfold. Thanks for watching this video. I'd love to hear your thoughts on Bron Breakker's future in the WWE, so make sure you leave a comment down below. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into Bron Breakker's WWE career, then don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you can stay tuned for more wrestling content right here on WrestlingReel.